Hey folks, it's Jaron Freeman-Fox here, and I'm very sorry to say that I won't be performing with my band at the SweetWater Jazz Festival this year, but the wonderful folks at the SweetWater Music Festival have asked me to talk a little bit about my musical journey and play a tune for you guys to help you pass just a few more minutes of this isolation adventure we're all on this year. My musical upbringing and journey has been very blessed and a bit chaotic. I grew up in a tiny town of about 100 people in northwest BC, about 20 hours drive north from Vancouver. Family of black bears living in the compost pile, and mostly self-taught on the violin. Played a lot of folk music, a lot of fiddle music, and this went on until I was about 14. I was asked to become an apprentice of a great violinist named Oliver Schroer, who I would go live with for periods of time and learn his music, help in whatever ways I could as he was producing records, and I transcribed his music for him. I wrote out about 900 of his tunes, I think, or something crazy. And just generally living life in that older style of like a guru-disciple relationship. I went on to go to music school, studied jazz and then classical music under a great violinist named Mark Destrubet out in Vancouver there. And then I left music school to go study classical South Indian music in Chennai. And I really had my mind blown over there. That was definitely the most I had ever practiced. And let's see, I moved back to Canada, moved to Toronto, played in a million bands, rock bands, world music groups, some electronica projects. And I was, eventually I was pretty busy touring, but I was pretty focused in knowing that I eventually wanted to be touring my own project and my own compositions. And by about 2010, I put out my first record and started touring full-time with my own band, Jaron Freeman-Fox and the Opposite of Everything. And we had a very lucky trajectory. We were, pretty soon we were touring full-time and going all over the place, all over North America, Eastern Europe, Western Europe, Scandinavia, Australia, a few tours in China, and one wayward adventure in Siberia. And eventually, after many years, the tunes started sounding kind of old to me. And so I wrote some new tunes. But the new tunes sounded even older than the old tunes. And I realized that it was time for me to dig back into just investigating music and investigating what my favorite music sounded like. And so I sort of dropped everything. I went and started studying in Norway. I studied some Hardanger fiddle in Norway. I went to Bulgaria, studied Bulgarian godolka, which is their violin. I've got one on the wall here now. And I studied in Mongolia. I studied throat singing and Mongolian fiddle, the Murinhur. And mostly I just stayed at home and played the major scale for many, many hours per day. I'd always had been very interested in guitar pedals. By the time I stopped touring, I had about 25 to 30 effects boxes on stage with me. I threw all those out and I started programming my own sounds on the digitally and manipulating it with MIDI controllers, which you'll see me doing here with my gas pedals, flying my own spaceship here. And I decided that my oversized violin, this was my main instrument, I guess it would be called a viola pomposa, that this just didn't have quite enough strings for me. So I started playing a viol d'amore that I've modified here. That's really suited the style of solo music that I've been writing. And so it's been an adventure, and one that I'm very much in the middle of right now. So I'll play a little tune for you that I've been working on, incorporating all of these elements.